Minister Mackey outlined that since 2008, numerous initiatives including increased Coast Guard patrols and the setting up of a sub-base in Canouan have been done. He also pointed out that 3 West Coast Guard auxiliaries will complete training on the 13th of April and will be operational with the patrol boat by April 18th. He emphasized the importance of everyone looking out for each other.
As we attempt to reduce those numbers in terms of crime to persons to our destination, we have a lot to be thankful for. I think we are all aware of the fact that the yachting sector is the most important in terms of the tourism market, and therefore we have to do everything in our power to not only make it a safe niche market for ourselves, but also to grow it. We're second to the BVI in terms of numbers of yachts and visitors each year, and I think we have to continue to ensure that we put out a good name for the destination. And again, it is not only the efforts of the ministry, the police and the Coast Guard. Each Vincentian must report on the possibility of a crime taking place. They must report on a crime if they have information that would have taken place, and we all have to safeguard the industry.
The Tourism and Culture Minister also noted that numerous equipment have been distributed to improve surveillance and communication, such as handset radios and CCTV security cameras, which are monitored by the Coast Guard.
These systems provide yachtsmen and mariners to relay distress and safety information on digital selected calling (DSC) on Challenge 70 to the Coast Guard and any vessel within transmission range fitted with similar equipment. The NTRC also installed GMBSS handset radios at the various police stations: Rosal, Chateaublay, Oria, Ashton, Paget Farm, and Barrowley. During the testing of the GMDSS, these areas were identified as blind spots in receiving distress alerts from mariners, with the intention of relaying alerts received to the Coast Guard or other mariners. NTRC CCTV cameras. Several cameras were installed in 2015 and commissioned in 2016 by the NTRC at several yacht anchorage to include Cumberland, Villa, Young Island, and Wallalaboo. These cameras are monitored by the Coast Guard on a 24-hour basis.
Highlighting his reason for seeking an update on the operations of this country's largest capital project, the Argyle International Airport, Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday is convinced that despite word by the government that they are talking with relevant authorities and making strides to get international flights to come here, the process seems to be going nowhere. Speaking on Friday on the New Times radio program, Dr. Friday, who had posed the question in Parliament last Thursday, noted that government has the responsibility to make the air facility work and should not be sinking more funds into the project by subsidizing flights to come here, which does not reap any benefits.
They talk to JetBlue, they talk to WestJet, they talk to all these people. But, you know, talking and talking is not really what I'm asking. I'm asking for an update as to where we are now. Major Leacock at one point interjected and asked, well, you know, what does talking mean essentially? You know, whether you're consulting or you're meeting, what does it mean? What are we getting out of it? And we seem to be at a stage where the people who are responsible for ensuring that the Argyle International Airport functions as an international airport, they don't seem to have anything immediately in the works or anything that they can announce to say, well, we're going to have international flights. Let's talk about having charter flight coming for Carnival, but it sounds like we're back to square one, which is to say that the government is going to hire charter to come. Right. That is not on. That is simply not on. You can't be hiring planes to come here to bring people on a junket and then subsidizing it. I mean, that would be an insult to taxpayers.
Dr. Friday further pointed out the need to have linkages between the operations of the AIA and the key sectors such as tourism and hospitality.
I know when the airport was being constructed, there was a lot of talk, and the Minister of Tourism was one of those persons who was saying, oh, as soon as Argyle is finished, we're going to double the number of people coming here because you're going to have people coming in and so on and flying straight into Argyle. When you say those things, you have to assume that they have the airlines ready to come, and that they have the places to put up those people when they come. Because one of the things that airlines look at is your hotel capacity, because you're not going to survive just by bringing Vincentians home, because Vincentians travel seasonally. You know, they'll come for Carnival, they'll come for Easter, the ones in Becco anyway, and they'll come for Christmas, and so on. Maybe a few of them might come at Independence Time. But to sustain it, what you need is really for people who are outside of the region, who are tourists, who are visitors who are coming to St. Vincent, and the number of visitors who come would depend on the capacity for us to house them in hotels and kind of package deals that you could provide that make it attractive.
Sharing his opinion on the recently announced ban to be imposed on the catching and killing of orcas and flipper whales here, the opposition leader noted that the whaling industry forms part of the tradition of the nation and that he hopes the change is for genuine conservation reasons.
I am all for responsible use of natural resources, and that is what anything in the sea is, a natural resource. It's used, and it's used responsible, that is fine. If there is an environment, a conservation issue, that there are certain species that are at risk and so on, and there are restrictions put on it, I will be, and there's scientific evidence to back it, of course we will observe that, and that is...
So we should not be making decisions of those nature by emotion?
Well, or just by personal preference. I mean, I understand you would have your personal preference, but why is yours superior to mine? And the point is that, you know, to vilify a community simply because they're doing something that they have done for 140 years and that you have had international recognition of the right to do so, and that, you know, you're doing it in a responsible way, in keeping with international conservation measures, then what is the reason for vilifying and demonizing them?
The government, along with members of the private sector, have pledged their continued commitment to the academic development of the nation's youth. Last Friday, scores of students across the nation gathered at the Community College in Villa for the FLOW Ministry of Education, National Reconciliation and Ecclesiastical Affairs National Award Ceremony in recognition and celebration of scholastic achievements in the May-June 2016 CXC, Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment CPEA, and Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate Examinations CSEC. Nolisha Miller has more in this report.
Scores of students from across the nation stood proudly at the National Awards ceremony on Friday, April 7, 2017, where they were being recognized for their achievement in the 2016 May-June examinations. High praises were echoed for their significant improvement and outstanding performance of boys overall. However, it was Eric February of the Mountain View Academy who stole the spotlight as he emerged as the 2017 top male performer with his enviable achievement of attaining 20 CXC subjects.
At the age of 5, Eric read the book Gifted Hands by Dr. Ben Carson, the world-famed neurosurgeon. And Eric determined then that he wanted to be a doctor, but not just a doctor, but a neurosurgeon like Ben Carson. Eric has a passion for preaching and has practiced his passion from a tender age. He is convinced that he has been called to the preaching ministry and intends to pursue his passion.
Marcelina Melville of the Girls High School was recognized as the top female performer, while Luke Wilson of the St. Mary's Roman Catholic emerged as the top performer in the CPEA examination. Shuina Stewart of the Bethel High School left much to admire as she was praised for her determination as she stood to receive the award for top performer after remediation.
When asked what motivates her to succeed, she simply replies with her winsome smile, "I have been told all my life I will never succeed. I will drop out of school. Therefore, the negative words have motivated me to prove these speakers wrong and make my parents proud."
Determined that the route to success should not be dwindled, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves noted that while the taste of success is sweet, one still has to question what more can be done. This as he stressed the need for the improvement in certain areas of the educational sector.
In 2012, the number of students who passed mathematics at CSEX was 28. 2013, 28.4. 2014, 47%. 2015, 57%. And we went back to 47% in 2016. What it tells me is that we have broken through that barrier in the Caribbean with many countries in the late 20s and early 30s. And we are now in the late 40s into the 50s. We have to up that.
Outlining that the national performance in the area of English A has improved significantly, the former teacher highlighted the desperate need for quality teaching and leadership in schools. Dr. Gonsalves then challenged primary school teachers in particular to do what is required of them, which he stressed is to ensure the exceptional performance of students on every level.
The solution is to have a proper assessment of teachers. And that is why we set up this assessment unit in the ministry. But I don't think that that assessment unit has properly found its feet yet. But what we also need, in my humble submission, are external reference. People from, say, University of West Indies to come. And we do check-in of the teachers in the classroom while they are performing. Not to embarrass the teachers, not to fire them. No, not that, I'm not into that. But to improve them to better deliver quality teaching to our students.
Meantime, country manager of telecommunications company Flow, Wayne Hull, announced Flow's continued investment in the development of this country's educational sector.
Our partnership runs deep. This partnership with the Ministry of Education has spanned 11 years. And we are really grateful to share in your success and give you your due rewards. So, we at Flow has shown the commitment to education and national development by investing just over $100,000 towards various educational initiatives and events annually. And I'm also pleased to announce that we just concluded a press conference today where we pledge another multi-year support with the Ministry of Education to go forward with this ceremony for many, many years to come.
In the other awards handed out on Friday, the St. Martin's Secondary School was awarded for their attainment of the most improved results, while the Barley Secondary School was recognized for the best results after remediation, and the Girls High School was awarded for the best CSEX results overall. Nolisha Miller, The Evening News.
The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, the ECCB, will host a consultative and legislative drafting workshop here to address proposed amendments to the Banking Act 201 tomorrow, April 11th, at the Beachcombers Hotel. Following the ECCB's engagements on the application and operationalization of the Banking Act 2015 with members of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, the ECCU, banking industry, the bank is proposing amendments to the Act to address certain areas of concern raised during those discussions. In light of this, the ECCB has organized a consultative and legislative drafting workshop which will be chaired by ECCB Monetary Council member and Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. The objectives of the workshop, which will take place here at the Beachcombers Hotel, are to consult with stakeholders and forge consensus on the proposed amendments to the Banking Act 2015, conduct a technical review of the amendments and finalize the drafting of the amendments, and develop a targeted approach to the efficient enactment of the amendments. Children in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and other Eastern Caribbean countries stand to benefit from the services that will be provided at the World Pediatric Project designated operating theatre at the Milton Caton Memorial Hospital. SVG Television's Bavin Oliver has more on the dedication ceremony at the hospital in this report.
Focused on saving precious lives. That's according to Minister of Health Luke Brown as he spoke at a dedication ceremony of the World Pediatric Project's designated operating theatre here. While thanking the WPP for its commitment to the health of children of SVG and across the region, Brown said he considered the opening of the theatre as an important moment in the development of healthcare in SVG.
We have gathered together to celebrate the long-standing relationship between the World Pediatric Project and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are here to look at the progress and strides we have made as a country in the provision of health services over the past 14 plus years because of the World Pediatric Project, and to say thanks to them from the bottom of our hearts. Ever since the World Pediatric Project came into our lives in 2002, things have never been the same again. It started out as the International Hospital for Children before it adopted the new name. The name may have changed, but its mission has been as constant as the Northern Star, to heal a child and change the world.
Also speaking at the ceremony was President of the World Pediatric Project, Susan Rittman, who stated that she is thrilled to celebrate yet another milestone in an effort to provide healthcare services to children across the region, and thanked the government of SVG for its continued support.
I truly cannot say enough of what this investment by the government of St. Vincent in providing operating space for WPP means to the families of St. Vincent and the region. Since 2002, over 1,000 children have received surgery right behind me in this hospital. With a designated OR, that number will double in a much shorter amount of time with our increase in teams. So much more work to be done. And it will not only be St. Vincent children, it will be all children from the Eastern Caribbean, because this Prime Minister believes all children are our children. And because of his commitment of allowing children from throughout the region to come into this hospital for free care through WPP, the OECS recognizes St. Vincent as the Pediatric Center for Excellence for the entire Eastern Caribbean.
Also making remarks was Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who praised the WPP for its continuing work, which helped SVG become recognized as a center of pediatric care in the region.
We provide hospital beds, we provide nursing and other medical care, we provide pharmaceutical support in addition to what WPP brings. So facilities, medical, the theater, operating theater and the like. And I answer everybody the same way. That the greatest act of solidarity is not to give from the surplus which you have, but from the little what belongs to you. And we have a little, and we are giving the children of the rest of the Caribbean what little that we have, and with the great abundance that comes from the WPP, and I want to thank them.
Marvin Oliver, The Evening News.
Meanwhile, parents and children alike expressed their gratitude to the World Pediatric Project, as well as all healthcare professionals and other stakeholders for their efforts.
I say to you this morning, not because I'm a poor lady standing here not working, I don't have any money to give you a return of what you have done to me and my child, but I want to give you the blessing of Almighty God and the love from both of us, from Shalisa and I, and from my family. We thank you very much and continue to do your good work so that our children in St. Vincent can be healthy and strong as Shalisa is today. Thank you.
She lost that arm, but we gained a beautiful child who is full of potential, and she has a very bright future ahead of her. And this was made possible because of the many partners who see it fit to ensure that each child in St. Vincent and in the region receive the critical care that they deserve.
Thank you to Dr. Data, to Sister King, to the World Pediatric Project, to the donors, Mystique Charitable, America Flights, and all the other partners who may not be now named. We say thank you very much. To you, it may just be another child, but to us, it's our world.
WPP, I thank you. Mosaic Charitable Trust, I thank you. All my doctors and nurses, I thank you. Mommy, Daddy, and Auntie Roxanne, I thank you and love you. Thank you, Mosaic Charitable Trust.
An apparatus such as the decibel meter would go a long way in boosting the capacity of the RSVG police force in dealing with the issue of excessive noise. That's according to Sergeant Henry Providence of the RSVG police force, speaking on Easy Radio's Easy Tea Sunday program, where the panel discussed the topic of excessive noise. Sergeant Providence noted that currently, when a person is brought before the court on a charge of creating excessive noise, the court must decide using a test of objectivity, and that specialized equipment such as a decibel meter would give the force the edge in adequately measuring noise and prosecuting offenders.
What is basically saying the court would use the objective test of testing the ordinary standards. And that is the test that is being used right now by the court. And yes, it's an opportune time for us to get away from that. Our legislation, in a sense, needs to be upgraded so that we can give us the necessary apparatus to use to test these songs as to how loud they were. And that will give us a better ability to put forward our case in court. Because as the doctor just rightly said, some of these omnibuses, as he said, he was testing over 100 and something decibels. And if we could get that to the court of law, and where we're saying that normal standard is below 80, I think you say? Yeah. 80 and under. So if we could have these apparatus to assist us to test how loud this music was coming from, whether it's a resident or from a motor vehicle, it would definitely help us in putting forward our case before court of law.
Speaking on the issue of enforcing the law in relation to noise, Sergeant Providence said the RSVG police force has a duty and responsibility to investigate incidences where noise causes a disturbance to the public.
This is another area that we have to really do better as police officers, and I'm really not trying to bash the police this morning, but I just want to be frank that we have to do better in this regard, where persons from time to time are reporting these issues to us, and we have heard of complaints 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. But sometimes the police officer feel that I am sleeping, you're bothering me at this time. We have to understand, as police officers, first and foremost, we have a duty to work with the public, you know. We have a duty to serve them. And this is part of our service. So when persons complain, we have a duty to go and let the person know that they have to stop the music. Okay. And the Act is also speaking on the issue of when the police come to you and ask you to turn your music to a certain level, that it must be maintained there. And the Act also speak on this. So it boils down to the whole issue where we as the enforcers, not just the police also, but maybe the board or the planning division who has authority also, yes, where they have to enforce the legislation that is there, because it's a very powerful piece of legislation, yes, and we just need to enforce it.
The veteran police officer said education and the involvement of a wide cross-section of stakeholders is necessary in sensitizing the public about their rights and responsibilities in relation to the issue of excessive noise.
And a number of stakeholders, and not just the police and the health system, but persons and people from the Ministry of Education must be on board. Persons from the tourism sector must be on board. Because we are seeing issues also where persons from the restaurant might be creating some disturbance to his neighbor and so forth. So all these stakeholders has to be a part of it. It must be a collaborative effort. The ministry, the police, the education, all these persons must be on board. And we must first and foremost start with educating the public as to the effects of the loud music to your neighbor. Persons must also be aware of what the law requires. So the business persons must know what is required of him, and also the neighbor as to if he is disturbed, what authority does he or she has, and how he go about making an official report to the police, and what are the steps that he has to take, and how he can have some level of comfort from these reports and so forth. So it has to be an education driving first and foremost.